Okay, I'm not real sure what just happened. I think I was live and then I somehow wasn't. I apologize. Okay, I think I'm live now. That's weird. And I don't have my computer in here to see if I am in fact live. This is a weird time of day for me. I know that it's been a while, but I'm here. Hi, Kate. And so I'm just impromptu because I keep waiting for the perfect time to be live and then it's never the right time. So I'm just like, okay, I'm getting ready to paint this piece with the new silk line in Oyster, but I wanted to show y'all some things that I recently did with the Dixie Belle mud that I thought was really cool. So I was watching a video, I don't remember who it was. It wasn't a brand ambassador, I don't believe, or even a content creator. It was just some random video I found of somebody using the mud. And this is the Dixie Belle mud that we have. Okay, and this is pretty much marketed as filling in holes, filling in, dents and that kind of thing. But the young lady that was using this was filling in oak grain in her kitchen. And I know there's products that you can use to do that with, but I thought, okay, so you can fill in oak grain, because usually you think if the dent's not deep enough, it won't fill it, won't stay in, but it does. She actually watered it down a little bit and brushed it into the grain of her cabinets and just sanded it back flat. So I have a piece outside. It's too big to bring in the house, but something similar happened to me. I was putting some boss, and I'm going to show it to y'all. If what I'm doing out there is dry by this evening, I'm actually going to go back live again this evening to show y'all that. But on I have a piece outside that has a very dry, yucky top that I cannot stain because it has a burn in it. So I'm painting it, and I put a coat of boss on, and the wood grain was not filling with the paint. So it was very similar to this type of wood grain. Do you see how that is? It's just dry, deep, and when I painted it, hi Michelle, welcome. When I painted it, it didn't fill the grain, and so I was like, I'm going to try the Dixie Belle mud. And so I put it on there very thinly, and then just kind of sprayed it with water, and then kind of brushed it in, and it painted beautifully, like just flat silk. So this is kind of the same idea. So I put the mud in this section here, and you can see where it stays. I'm going to show y'all how I did it. I just did a thin, I didn't use a brush on this because I didn't really have to, but I'm going to show you. So this is the spatula that I use, or I'm not sure what they use, what they call these for, scraper spatulas. This is one I use. Anyway, this is the consistency of the Dixie Belle mud, and you've seen me use this before in raised stencils. It does a beautiful job with raised stencils, okay? I'm not going to need this much. Let me just get someone here. Okay, so this is a very similar grain of the one that I have out in the garage. And I just put it on and I pressed it into the grain. Can you see how I'm pressing that into the grain of the wood? Okay. Because if you feel this, if y'all could have feel-o-vision, this is very smooth and this is very rough. So even though it looks like it didn't fill in every piece of grain, it filled in all of the dips, okay? The parts that you see that are wood colored and not gray, that's the higher parts of the wood grain. Okay, so I'm just putting it on here very thinly. Okay, and like you can water this down and paint it on, okay? You would still want to keep it pretty, thicker than water. But I'm going to hit it with my blow dryer to dry it. Now it goes on dark like this, and you can see it's already starting to dry. And I'm just going to dry it real quick so I can clean it back. I hope everybody's doing good today. I miss you guys. I've had illnesses and injuries, and it's just been one heck of a 3 months. Okay, so I'm completely sanding this back, okay? Normally, if you're putting mud on a surface like, I'll show you. So I have a little tiny divot over here. It's really very, very shallow, very small. I'll show it to you. And the mud comes in black, brown, and white. So you can use it whatever color according to, you know, your piece or what colors you're going to paint over it. I didn't have any color but black, so that's why I'm using it. But you can see right here, see this little circle? Okay, so that was just a very small divot, and you can see when I sanded it away, the only mud that stayed was in the divot, okay? So that's what you want to do. You want to, excuse my mess over there. Woo-hoo. So that's the only mud that stayed on was what was in the recessed part, and that's the same as with this. So you have your yucky grain, and it's as smooth as glass. Okay, so all of this mud that's still on here is in the grain. Do you see that? And y'all probably are like, I've thought of that. Hey, Debbie. But I hadn't. So if there's another person out there that had not thought of filling in the grain with mud, I wanted to share this with you because I was really impressed. It's kind of like I've had 3 pieces, this one and 2 other pieces that are in my garage. Hopefully I'm going to show y'all tonight. I'm going to be doing a little bit different technique that I've not done before. I'm going to be using sea spray and crackle on that piece. So wish me luck. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I want to try it, so we're going to do it. But all 3 of these pieces, I'm going to try and show you. I'm not sure how much you're going to be able to see because of the way that the camera is. But I'm going to tilt you down. And I don't know if y'all can see, but down here on the lower apron, do you see where there's some mud around here? This was very dry and lots of scratches and lots of dry grain. Okay, so that part down there that's gray, that's all filled in the grain. And, you know, I've done kitchens before, but I've never had a customer ask me to fill in grain. Which I'm really glad. Yes, Debbie, I have tendinitis. So I'm falling apart. Tendinitis, I don't know if y'all ever had it, but my husband's had it. We've had some friends that had it. It's like an 8-month recovery if you don't use it. And, you know, I brought this in today, took one out, moved a couple around. I just cannot not use it. So I ice it every day. And I'm using a TENS unit. If you've never used a TENS unit, it really helps with the tendinitis. And then my leg, I don't know if whoever's on here was on my last live where I had fallen right before the live. I strained a tendon in my ankle. I sprained the ankle, but the tendon is what is killing me. And I'm not able to stay off of it probably as much as I'm supposed to. But I am trying to be better, I guess. But it's been 2 weeks and I can walk on it without pain, but if it moves just the wrong way, excuse me, that's it. It hurts. Yeah, Debbie, I wear this every second of the day except for when I sleep because I feel like I need a break. But I tell you, I do wake up in pain with it, so I probably should wear it when I'm sleeping. Actually, this is not the one I like. This one doesn't have the tension ball in here. I cannot find my other one. It has a tension thing here. So if anybody ever gets it or you know someone who has it, don't make fun of them because it hurts. It hurts bad. But anyway, I just wanted to give y'all that tip about mud. It's not just for filling in. See, I have holes all in this. I actually just realized I have a piece right here, so I probably could go ahead and put a little bit in there while I'm sitting here with you guys. Usually if you're putting it in a hole or a divot, you want to overfill it a little bit because it will shrink up. And if you don't overfill it, then you're probably going to end up putting another layer after it dries. So if you put some on, it dries, and you sand it back and you still can see the edges of your hole or whatever, you can go ahead and add more. Let that dry, and then try and use something flat and stiff. Like I wouldn't use something like this. These rad pads are soft and flexible. I use more of a like the sanding sponge, something that's a little firmer, so that you're keeping it a nice level sand, so that you're not going in it like this, but you're just going across it like this, okay? So you want to keep your hand flat. I mean, if you do something like this, you want to keep your hand as flat as you can so that you're not digging into a hole that you're trying to fill. I know this from experience. So I have sanded out a lot of holes. So this one's right on the edge. Let me see if I can get y'all closer. Okay. I'm gonna see how this works here. Let's see if I can get this to work. Okay. Do you see right here where it's right on the edge and it's got a chip in it and then it has a scratch here? So I'm gonna just come down like this and then I'm gonna pull it across like this. And I'm gonna try and keep my spatula or scraper or whatever you want to call it as this is kind of a, let me open this door. I'll make it less use there. Okay, so I'm going to come down like this and I'm going to come across like this and then just pull it this way. And so now that chip is gone. It's a little bit overfilled. This is excess here. I don't really need this. Okay, so you want to preserve as much of it as you can. I was trying to see if there's another little scratch or something I could. So this is kind of scratched here. You can kind of see when you put it on thinly. That's a little area I filled in earlier. But if you put it on thinly and it sits in the grooves, do you see how it's kind of sitting in the grain here? It'll stay in there. Once it gets hard and it is dry. Now, one thing that I usually do is I'll seal it with a sealer prior to painting, because the chalk mineral paint, we use water and sometimes it'll reactivate the mud. But I'm going to be using silk on this piece, so I'm not going to worry about doing that. And I don't really have a lot up in this upper area anyway, but I wanted to use some of this silk with y'all. I've already wiped this down. It's got a little bit of dust from my house. Hey, Michelle. Yeah, I'm trying to get back into it. I tell you, it's kind of like I don't know. It's like once you stop doing something, you get used to not doing it, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to go live today, and then you get busy, and then you think, oh, it's not really the right time to do it, and I know this is 3 o'clock, and Dixie Belle's live right now. Probably shouldn't go live, but you know what? I'm just going to do it. Because I keep doing all this stuff and then finishing it, and then I don't have anything to show you guys, so I was like, I'm just going to turn that phone on and do it. And if we only have 5 people watching, that's okay. These are 5 important people. And so if you guys haven't used mud before, also the silk. So this is oyster, okay? And this is, if you're not familiar, which I know that you probably are, but this is our new line of paint. It's an all-in-one. And I've done one other video on this. I used the color Deep Sea, which is beautiful. I have it. Where is it? This is Deep Sea. It's a navy, and this is a gorgeous, gorgeous color. Looks beautiful with gold. I actually have a couple here that I opened to do some sample boards. This is Baja Gray. Everything's backwards because I'm on my phone and not on my computer. It's a very pretty, it reminds me a little bit of maybe a mix of sawmill gravy and French linen. It looks like it might be a little bit darker than sawmill gravy. Anchor, which is a true black, 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 gorgeous color. I also have some Hampton Olive, very similar to Spanish moss, but I think it's a little bit greener. And then Serenity. This one is very close to Vintage Duck Egg. Maybe not quite. Let's see. It's a little less green, I think. And those are the colors that I have here. There's 20 colors. You can go to my website. I have all of them listed there. If you're local, and I forgot to tell you all this at the beginning of the video. If you're local, I have a premier location at Antiques for You on Blanding Boulevard, 801 Blanding Boulevard, blah, 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 blah. I have 2 elite locations, and what that means is I have the entire chalk mineral paint line, plus I have the entire silk line. So that would be at Junk in the Trunk in Blooming Island and at Deep South Crafts in Middleburg. And if you haven't gone to that shop, y'all really need to check it out. It's so cute. It's a smaller store, but she has it jam-packed full of fun stuff. And she's very new, so she could really use the support of the local customers. But I have all the silk there as well. So I'm sitting here shaking it and getting ready to tell you, don't shake it, stir it. I don't shake products that really need to be stirred. I have a picture on my paint fixation page on Facebook not too long ago, a couple days ago. Well, you know what? I think I put that on my stories. I'll post it as a post because I opened up. Where's Black Sands? I also have Black Sands. Where is it? Here it is. This is, I think, going to end up being one of my all-time favorite colors. This is Black Sands. Look at that. It's like a very deep charcoal color. And I opened this for the first time and it was green. It had a very deep green layer of water on top of it. In fact, let me see if it's still there because it's been sitting and I just shook it a little bit. Let's see if it's separated. It is. Do you see that? That is the pigments that make this color a beautiful charcoal. Okay? This is why you have to stir your stuff. Not only because of the color being true, but because a lot of what you see separated is the product that makes it the incredible product that it is. Because this is an all-in-one. It has the equivalent of 1 coat of Boss, which is why I'm not using Boss on this piece. Normally, if I was going to do white, this piece is going to be a bleeder. It was absolutely disgusting. It looked just like it looks right now when I got it. But when I cleaned it, it was covered in nicotine. It took 3 good solid scrubbings with White Lightning and a green scrubby to get it clean. So if there is any nicotine left on this thing, it's going to show up through my paint. Plus, it is old, it's dry, and if it doesn't bleed, I would be shocked. But with the silk, it shouldn't bleed. It has Boss in it. And so I'm going to put a coat of Boss on this. I'm going to wait. I probably won't get to it today. Normally I would wait 2 hours and put the second coat, but I'll probably do that in the morning. And then I'll let that sit for the day. And then if it needs a third coat, I'll put a third coat. It may not need a third coat, but if it has any gold showing through, any bleed through, I'll put a third coat on, and that should do it. And then it has your paint, which is a mineral-based acrylic paint. It's got acrylic in it, but it's mineral-based. No chalk. And then it has one equivalent to 1 coat of clear coat in this, okay? And it's a water resistant. It's not water repellent like the Gator Hide. So if you're doing something like a dining room table, end tables, anything that's going to be used a lot with food or drinks or whatever, I would go ahead and still seal the top with the Gator Hide. You don't necessarily need to do the rest of the piece, but the top would need to be sealed with Gator Hide if you wanted water repellency. And then this dries to a low reflective sheen, okay? Also, these products dry a little bit darker than what's in the container. So if you go to your local retailer, let me see if I can get my hands right on it. They should have, let's see, I don't have, hang on. I wasn't prepared to do this. Just one second. I'm going to see if I have my fan deck for silk over here. Okay, I don't see my fan deck for silk, but I do have the fan deck for the chalk mineral paint. So these are new from Dixie Belle, okay? They have every color, all 69 colors. It might be more because I think this also includes the ones that are limited to 16 ounces. So I think that's 74. And then it also has the mineral, the Moonshine Metallics on the back. And these are very good fan decks. They are so close. I mean, almost dead on to the color. So if you go to your local retailer and they're Premier, even if they're not Premier, they can purchase these. And they have these, you can be assured that these are very close to what you're going to get. I wish I had my silk one right in front of me. I think it's in my purse. I keep one in my purse of each of these for people that might ask. But it's great for, like, so I've been using them to put colors together to see what I want to use. So it's great for that. It has the colors on the back and it gives a brief description. So some of them will even have the base, like the hues or the tints. Some of them will have that in there in case you're not sure. But anyway, these are great. You can also, if you want one of these, if you're like a furniture flipper and you use Dixie Belle a lot or exclusively, I can always get you a fan deck. I can't remember the exact price of these, but they're not very much. But we have these, and then we have a separate one with the 20 colors of silk. But these are available for purchase. I don't have any locally to purchase, but I can always order them with my next order if you want one. Or drop ship it if you want to drop ship some colors. But I'm going to just quickly start painting this just to show you what this color looks like. And then I'll let y'all go because, you know, it is a weird time of day. People are probably picking kids up from school. So I am going to stir this really, really well. This is oyster. This is the texture. It's a little bit different texture than the chalk mineral paint. Okay, it's a little less thick. I will say though, there are some of the chalk mineral colors, like cotton is not as thick as sawmill gravy because of the pigmentation. So what I like to tell people, like if you are doing custom colors, I prefer to weigh my colors if I'm doing a custom blend of colors. Like if I'm putting two colors together to make a third color, I weigh them on a kitchen scale because these are weighed. These are 16 ounces by volume, not by weight. And so this jar of oyster will probably weigh a little bit different than this jar of black sands when they're full, just because the pigments are different. But I stirred this up earlier today, so this isn't going to need too big of a stir. But I'm going to, when I stir all the way from the bottom. Hey, Linda! Linda is the owner of the store I was just telling y'all about, at Deep South Crafts, that y'all need to go to if you're local. We have some classes lined up too, so I've shared them on my page if you're local and you want to go. I should have brought the Lazy Susans in here, but I didn't. But we're doing a Lazy Susan class next month, the 16th, and this month we're doing a barn quilt class. But those are on my page too, Paint Fixation on Facebook. I'll probably put those on my website too. Hi, Judy. Welcome. Iowa. So this is all stirred up. Now, when you're using the silk, unlike the chalk mineral paint, you're going to use a dry brush. You're not going to use water to put this on. I have heard that some climates, like in Australia, because Australians have been using this a lot longer than we have. They were kind of our beta testers. And because the climate is so incredibly dry, some of them misted their brush a little bit, but you shouldn't have to. You're going to use a little bit more paint than you would normally. So I'm going to load my paint really well. And then I'm just going to go for it. This is just a panel. This is not a drawer. And so I'm just going to come in here. I've got a synthetic brush. You want to use a synthetic brush to paint these. Here, I'll bring y'all in closer. Let me see if I can do this with one hand without, hang on, I can't. Hang on. Because I've got y'all sitting on a very unsturdy surface. There we go. Hey, Andrea. Andrea is one of my awesome customers. So you want to use a synthetic brush. The Dixie Belle, this is a Dixie Belle flat large. Okay. Love this brush. But also the Dixie Belle Mini is a very good versatile brush. That's usually the one I recommend for your first brush. Now with this paint, you do not want to overwork it. It's still wet. But as it dries, I'm going to leave it alone. So this is starting to dry up a little bit, so I'm just going to keep moving on. You want to, there's a gooper. You want to avoid overworking your paint to avoid brush strokes. If you do not overwork this paint, and you use the wetness of the paint instead of what we're used to using, our mister brush, as long as you keep the paint wet with itself, if that makes sense, it will dry with no brush strokes. Now you do not want to use, okay, so this is still a little wet because I've got wet paint on here, and so I'm not getting any drag. So there we go. Look how smooth that is. I got a little flake of something right there. Like, oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Okay. So if you love chalk paint because you're very artsy, you like to blend, you like to layer. Well, you can layer with this one too, but you can't layer wet paint. You have to layer it as it after it's dry. But you know, this may not be the paint for you, but if you've never really gotten on the chalk paint wagon and you've never felt comfortable with it, you want something that's just, you know, a one coat finish, or, you know, at the very least, just slight blend. It doesn't blend nearly as well as the chalk mineral paint, but again, it's because it's a different paint. It's not really meant for that purpose. It is just a different paint. It has a different finish. It doesn't have the chalky finish that the chalk mineral paint does because there is no chalk in it. I'm not really worried about so much getting in these cracks right here because I will be doing a glaze in here. So I'm not concerned with getting that. Now, I'm not going to do the top of this because I still have a little bit of mud on there. So I'm going to just move this over just a little bit and we'll work on this door. I'm leaving my handles on because I'm going to be painting these and glazing them after. There's some mud right there. This is that mud that I just put on there, so I'm going to just make sure there's no excess. And then wipe it off. And this is still drying. I can tell because it's still very dark. I gave these a very good clean and a scuff sand. So they're ready to go. So when you're using this product, you want to clean really well with your white lightning, especially if you have any waxes left over from a prior paint job. It does not like wax. It will resist wax. And so you want to make sure first that any waxes that you have on there are removed, like with mineral spirits. And then you want to give a really good cleaning with your white lightning. And then, this brush is almost too big for these areas. I probably should have picked up a smaller brush, but I think all my brushes are dirty in the other room, in the back kitchen. So after you give it a good cleaning, you want to give it a light scuff sand. You most likely won't need to use slick stick with this at all unless you're doing like glass or plastic. Even then, they're saying a scuff of those substrates should be okay to use without slick stick. So it's a very easy product. You know, it's just because you have different products in it with the boss and the top coat, you're using less products. This brush is too big for this area, but we're going to go with it. And if you have any questions, please ask while we're on here. And if you're new to my page, please don't be shy. Say hello. If you are new to my page, you probably haven't seen me very much because I have been absent. But we're getting back into it. So I'm just going to move down. I'll finish this door and then I'll let you guys go. Because I really want to start working on that other... I have a buffet out in my garage. It's too big for this room. And like I was saying earlier in the video, I'm going to be using some sea spray and some crackle to try and but I'm going to be using neutral colors for it because I'm trying to sell some pieces so that I'll have some money for the transfers that are coming back out next week. So I'm going to be painting the boring whites because this is what sells. You want to do long strokes. Can y'all see all the way down? Let me bring this down just a little bit more. Hang on. Okay. So you want to do long strokes and try to keep from stopping in the middle unless you flick it. That way you're not getting any of the brush strokes in the middle of your door. I'm also thinking about using one of the new transfers on this door. They come out next week. Well, is it next week? The 17th. Is 17th next week? Yeah. Today's the 11th. So I guess next Tuesday. So it's going to be St. Patty's Day. They'll be available. I'm an elite retailer, so I have the privilege of ordering before some of the other retailers. So I will have them in stock. I don't know that I'll have all of them in stock, so because we are not required to carry all of them. So if you guys want to go on my page, I will post pictures of them. Now I'm getting some drag right here, so I'm going to leave that alone for right now, and I'll come back to it. Okay, it's still wet, so I'm going to come up. Now that's a one coat with white, guys. As long as I don't have any serious bleed through, this is going to be 2 coats at the most. I'll be able to finish this tomorrow for the painting purposes. But I am going to be doing some glazing and stuff and all in these recessed areas. So I'll come on and do that live with you guys. But I like this paint, you know. I like blending, so I definitely see myself using both of the paints probably equally. I think some people will use one more than the other, but look at that coverage. Oh my goodness. So if you guys have any questions about the silk, do not hesitate to ask. I'm happy to answer any questions. Also, I'll be posting the transfers that are coming in, and it would be awesome if you guys would tell me which ones you like the best, because like I said, I'm probably not going to be buying all of them. There are, I think, 13 different ones, and I'm not buying all 13 of those. So I really would like to know what y'all think you will use. That's what I want to keep in stock. Of course, for those of you that are not local to me, I can drop ship any of them to you if you don't have a local retailer. That's not a problem at all. But if you want to buy local, it's best to tell me ahead of time or go on my web page and say, oh, I really like this one, or really like this one. And that way I have a better idea of which ones to get into the shops. But anyway, so I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to finish this coat really quick. I'm going to run outside and see how that's going out there. Yes, Michelle. Is it Michelle? My name is spelled a little bit differently. So my name is Michaela. I don't have 2 L's and have an A at the end. So I'm wondering if it's Michelle. I don't want to say your name wrong. But yes, when this is finished, I will come back on here when I'm doing some glazing to show you how I'm doing that. Michelle. Okay, good. And then I always take pictures of my pieces when I'm done. I don't do a lot of staging because I don't have a lot of staging stuff, so I just try to take a picture of the piece. I know it's not the best way of doing things, but it's my way. I'm just not a stager. It takes too long. So, but yes, you'll see this piece when it's finished, for sure. All right, so I'm going to let you guys go. I may see you later on this evening, depending on how that piece out there is drying. And if I don't get to it tonight, I'll be back tomorrow night to show you, because I'm really excited about, well, I'm excited unless it doesn't come out good, and then I won't be excited, but hopefully it will. Anyway, so you guys, I'll see you later maybe, and if not, I'll see you tomorrow. All right, take care and God bless. Thanks for tuning in.